Louise here from CNL Farmgate. Thank you for coming to join us today. The topic of this video is going to be sourdough bread. So I already have a starter that has been alive for over a year now. I just took it out of the fridge, so it is coming up to room temperature here, and it's going to expand a little bit. It's going to get all active and be ready to use. So when it is, I will take you along. All right, so we are ready. The starter is a little bit runny. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to feed my starter. Once it is fed, I'm going to wait a little bit longer, and then I'm going to get started on my leaven. So mix her all up, and in this clean jar I'm going to put in about half of what is in the starter, and then I'm going to use the discard to maybe make some naan bread or something for some pitas or something later on this week. Okay, so this is my discard. So I'm going to use this in a recipe later on this week. This is my new starter that I'm going to feed now, and then that way it will rise again, get a little bit more active, and then I'll make my leaven with that. I'm just going to do equal parts to feed the starter. I know that some recipes call for a little bit more water, less flour. I find it works well, I just wing it. So a little bit of flour. I don't have much regular all-purpose flour left, so it's good that I'll only be ready to mix this dough and bake this bread tomorrow. So half a cup, and then I'm going to do the same for water, so half a cup of water. And then you're just going to stir that up until it's really well incorporated, and then we're going to set it aside, and we'll come back in a little bit when there's a little bit of sourdough magic going on. It's already some bubbles, which are good. Bubbles are good. So I'll see if I can show you what it looks like now that it's been fed. So it's still a little bit watery consistency, but it'll thicken up a little bit and start bubbling a lot. It's already bubbling a lot. I don't know, can you see that? Beautiful. So I just put a regular mason jar lid and sealer on it, but I don't tighten it all the way. I just let it breathe a little bit. But yeah, so we'll come back when that's ready. Okay, so we are pretty much ready now. Our starter is looking a lot thicker. I did add a little bit more flour because it was still really watery, but this is perfect. So in our other clean jar, so I usually just use a bit of a smaller jar because your leaven's not really that much bigger. I will add in here half a cup of bread flour. It has to be bread flour for the leaven. Don't ask me why, but it does. So add bread flour, a third cup of water, and then I usually do warm water because I find that it helps the starter get started and will actually rise a little bit quicker. I could have gone ahead and done this tomorrow morning or later tonight, but I'm going to do it now, and then tomorrow morning I'll mix my dough and I'll be ready to bake it by the afternoon. So third cup of water in here, and then tablespoon of starter. So you could do 1 tablespoon. I like doing 2 tablespoons. No specific reason, I'm just usually winging it, and 2 tablespoons puts a nice rise on it and gives it a really sourdough taste, which we like. So got that all added into there. Show us my water. So starter, water, and the flour, and then you'll just mix it up, and you can already see that the bubbles are forming because the starter is alive. Mix, mix, mix. So once you have it fully mixed, what I usually do is I'll just let it sit out at room temperature, and I will put just like a Ziploc bag over top, kind of similar to my leftover starter. And then I will let it come alive. So your leaven is basically what is rising your sourdough. So the starter is kind of your yeast, the leaven's the next step, and then you make your dough. So sourdough is kind of a longer process. It's not something that you'll get done in, you know, one day, but if you got the time, it's well worth it. So now that it's all mixed up, I am going to pop it on the counter. I'm gonna leave it sit there at room temperature, probably until tomorrow morning, where I will make my sourdough. So I will bring you along then. Once you're done with the leaven, you can actually take your starter and put it back in the fridge. And you can keep it in the fridge for really as long. Mine's been in the fridge for a year. But you wanna make sure that you're feeding it at least once a week, or at least every 2 weeks. If you forget, that's fine. Don't give up on it, but make sure you feed it, and then try to feed it once a week.